It was supposed to be the happiest week of my life. The dress was hanging in the closet, ivory lace with a soft train that I had spent months saving for. The venue had been booked almost a year in advance, a charming converted barn with fairy lights strung across the beams. Ethan, my fiancé, had already finished writing his vows, and I caught him practicing in the mirror when he thought I wasn't looking. I was in the kitchen, finalizing the catering menu with the planner on the phone when my parents walked in. My dad's face was flushed, his lips pressed into a tight line. Mom followed, arms crossed, her eyes sparkling with that cruel satisfaction she only showed when she was about to hurt me. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Hang up, Dad barked. I hesitated, the pen frozen in my hand. What? Why? Because, Mom said, her voice dripping with venom, there is no wedding. The world seemed to tilt. What are you talking about? I whispered. Dad slapped a folder onto the counter, the receipts, invoices, and contracts I had carefully stacked. He pushed them toward me with one finger, his smile growing. We're not paying for this circus. It's over. I laughed nervously, thinking maybe it was a sick joke. Dad, everything's already booked. The deposits are... Gone, Mom interrupted. We pulled them, called the vendors, canceled the whole thing. My throat tightened. You... What? Dad leaned closer, his breath hot and bitter. You should be grateful we even humored it this long. A circus like you doesn't deserve a stage. You think we're going to waste money just so you can play bride? Not a chance. Mom's laugh was sharp, like glass breaking. You in a white dress? Please, people would choke. Better to end it now before you embarrass yourself. I felt my knees weaken, my chest caving. How could you? I whispered. How could you do this to me? Rachel, my sister, walked in right on cue, her timing always perfect when there was blood in the water. She glanced at the folder on the counter, then at me, and smirked. Guess the show's canceled. Should have known they'd never waste real money on you. Shut up, I snapped, my voice breaking. Her smirk widened. Don't take it so personally. It's not like anyone was really going to show up anyway. Who would come watch you stumble down the aisle? You're not exactly the main character here. Mom cackled, slapping the counter. She's right. If we'd let it go on, it would have been humiliating. No one wants to see trash pretending to be a bride. We saved you from being laughed at. The irony hit me like a slap. They were laughing right now. At me. At everything I had built. Everything I had dreamed. Dad's voice dropped lower, crueler. Be thankful we even raised you. Now sit down, shut up, and stop acting like you deserve more than scraps. You're not special. You never were. The phone in my hand slipped onto the counter, the planner's muffled voice still chirping on the line before the call disconnected. My vision blurred as their laughter swelled, Rachel clapping like it was a performance. I stumbled back into my room, slammed the door, and slid down against it. My chest heaved, my stomach twisted until I thought I might vomit. The dress hanging in the closet suddenly felt like a joke, mocking me from its hanger. The invitations stacked neatly on the dresser may as well have been blank. Ethan knocked gently an hour later, his voice soft. What happened? I couldn't even say it. I just collapsed into his chest, sobbing. He held me tight, whispering, We'll figure this out, I promise. But in my mind, a storm was brewing. They thought they could cancel my life with a single phone call. They thought they could laugh in my face and walk away clean. No, this time I wasn't just going to survive their cruelty. I was going to make them regret it. The next morning, the house still smelled of their laughter, sour and heavy, like it had soaked into the walls. I couldn't even look at my wedding dress without shaking. I closed the closet door, but it didn't matter. I could still see it in my head, hanging there like a ghost of a future I'd been robbed of. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, his hands clasped together. We could still go through with it, he said quietly. We don't need their money. I wanted to believe him, but I thought of the deposits they had yanked, the vendors they had canceled behind my back, the humiliation of calling every single person and saying, Never mind, It's off. My parents had made sure the wreckage wasn't just financial, it was social, too. No, I whispered. That's what they wanted, to make me feel small, to make me crawl back and beg, to laugh at me when I choke on the words. Ethan looked at me, his eyes dark with anger but soft with love. Then don't give them that satisfaction. Make them choke instead. Those words lit something inside me, a spark, faint at first but growing hotter by the minute. Later that afternoon, while my parents lounged in the living room and Rachel posted selfies online with captions like, "Big day canceled, bigger laughs," I slipped into Dad's study. I knew from years of being their scapegoat where they hid everything: folders, bank statements, the documents that proved their house of cards wasn't as sturdy as they pretended. I pulled open the desk drawer, and there it was: overdue mortgage notices, unpaid bills stacked like towers. They weren't as powerful as they pretended. They were drowning, barely keeping their heads above water, and they had dared to cancel my future? I snapped photos of every page, my hands shaking with adrenaline. For the first time, I saw the cracks in their armor. Over the next week, I started playing a different role. I didn't fight. I didn't cry. I didn't argue when they mocked me. I smiled. I nodded. I pretended to shrink. And while they thought I was broken, I was moving pieces quietly into place. I called the vendors myself, confirmed exactly what my parents had said when they canceled. Most of them were polite, but blunt. "Your parents said you couldn't pay." My cheeks burned as I listened, but I wrote it all down. Proof? Receipts? Rachel left her phone on the counter one evening. I glanced at the screen lighting up a group chat with her friends. She had sent a picture of my dress in the closet with the caption, "Still hanging there like she's Cinderella." More like the maid. Her friends sent rows of laughing emojis. I screenshotted it before slipping the phone back. Every piece of evidence was a brick. I was building something with it, something bigger than a fight, bigger than a scream. At night, Ethan and I talked in whispers. "What if they find out what you're doing?" he asked, worry etched in his voice. "They won't," I said, eyes locked on the glowing screen of my laptop, "because they've spent their whole lives underestimating me. They'll never believe I have the spine to strike back." And I was going to strike, not just to fix what they broke, but to make them feel it, to watch the smugness drain from their faces, to watch them regret the moment they called my wedding a circus and laughed. When I was done, they wouldn't just lose control. They'd lose the one thing they prized above all else, the illusion that they were untouchable. The day they thought would have been my wedding day arrived. Instead of a ceremony, the house was filled with chatter and clinking glasses. Mom and Dad had thrown themselves a family dinner, inviting neighbors, relatives, even some of Rachel's friends. They wanted to turn my humiliation into their entertainment, to gloat about how they had saved me from disaster. I stood in the hallway with Ethan, my hands steady even as my heart pounded. They thought I was beaten, but tonight was mine. Dad clinked his fork against a glass, smirking at the crowd. "We had to make a tough choice," he boomed. "But sometimes parents know best. We weren't about to waste money on a circus," I finished for him, stepping into the dining room. The room fell silent. Dozens of eyes turned toward me. My parents' smug smiles faltered just for a second. "Funny," I continued, holding up my phone, "because I brought a little something for everyone to see." I tapped the screen, and the TV in the corner lit up. Slide after slide filled the screen: mortgage bills, unpaid loans, foreclosure notices, every single overdue payment I had photographed. Gasps rippled across the room. Mom's face drained white. Dad's mouth opened, but no words came out. "This is the real circus," I said, my voice sharp and clear. "The house you brag about? Days away from being taken. The bills you pretend don't exist? Piled higher than your lies. And you called my wedding a waste of money? At least my love wasn't built on debt and cruelty." Rachel shot up from her chair, red-faced. "Turn it off!" she shrieked. But I didn't. The next slide appeared. The screenshot of Rachel's group chat. Her message about my dress, her friends laughing at me. Gasps turned into murmurs, and some guests shook their heads in disgust. Mom stumbled forward, her voice trembling. "You're trying to humiliate us in our own home." "No," I cut her off. "You did that yourselves, when you smashed my dream, when you laughed at me for wanting happiness, when you called me trash in front of my child." Ethan stepped forward then, his small voice steady. "Grandma, Grandpa, you hurt my mom. You hurt me." The silence was suffocating. My father, the man who had never bent to anyone, dropped his gaze. My mother clutched at her wineglass with trembling hands. Rachel sat frozen, mascara streaking as whispers filled the room. One of the neighbors muttered, "So that's the truth." Another shook her head, glaring at my parents. Their empire of fake respect crumbled in minutes. I took a deep breath, my chest rising and falling as the weight of years lifted off me. "You wanted me crawling, you wanted me broken, but now the whole world sees you for what you are." I picked up Ethan's hand, turning toward the door. "Enjoy your circus," I said coldly, "because I'm done being part of it." As I walked out, guests parted like the sea, some murmuring encouragement, some staring in disbelief. Behind me, I heard Mom's sob, Dad's growl, Rachel's frustrated scream, the sound of their empire collapsing. Ethan squeezed my hand. "Mom," he whispered, "are they going to be okay?" I looked down at him, forcing a small smile. "That's not our problem anymore. We're free." We stepped out into the night air, leaving the house behind us, a house no longer filled with laughter, but with the ashes of their pride. And for the first time, I didn't feel like the one who lost something. I felt like the one who finally won. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.